Hey everyone, Reef Girl here. So what are we looking at here? You must be asking yourself. This is the 29 and it's getting late in the evening. The lights are ramping down, so we've got a lot of blue going on. And what we're looking at here is the Blenny Hospital. For the last 2 days, my Blenny has been behaving really strangely. He hasn't been eating, and he's been having spasms where he opens his mouth really, really wide. It's almost like as if he were choking and trying to get something out of his throat. And so today I dipped him in Epsom salts, and well, not pure Epsom salts obviously, but I mixed Epsom salts with tank water, and I put him in a series of rotating containers with that, mainly because I wanted to maintain a decent temperature so he wouldn't get too cold. And I knew I couldn't keep doing that all night, so I decided I would figure out some way to keep him in the tank without allowing him loose in the tank. If he's going to die, I don't want him to disappear behind the rocks, because I will not tear down my tank. And it was pretty difficult to think of the massive water changes I would have to undertake over the next several days in a row to control decomposition. He's not a huge blenny, but he is a decent size, and after I put him in here, he livened up a little bit. I think he knows he's back in his water. So I put a tiny bit of algae on an empty frag plug in there for him. Even today, earlier on, he was sitting in the middle of the tank at the bottom, and an algae flake, I do feed them algae flakes once a day, floated right down and straight into his mouth, and he spit it out. So that's when I decided to get him out of the tank and see what I could do for him. I really didn't want to give up on him. I didn't want to leave him in the tank. As I said, I was very concerned he would just bury himself in the rockwork somewhere, and I would be dealing with nutrient issues for the next God knows how long. So I got this colander, which thankfully has a handle that I could put over the edge of the tank, over the rim, and a little hard to see, but I've used packing tape to kind of hold it in position. I wanted to hold it up high enough that he can't jump out. So I've put a little bit of tape over here, and I raised it up to where the edge of the dish is as level as I could get it, because the tape, it wants to pull away. And then I just put something heavy on top. It happens to be a couple of spent bags of Fosguard and carbon that I just haven't cleaned out yet. I like to leave them till they dry. It's just easier to clean them. So I've done this. He's in dim lighting. He really has perked up and moved around a lot more since I put him in here, but who knows, you know, sometimes it's the rally before the final breath. So anyway, I'm gonna leave him in here overnight, and that's really all I can do. And I will see how he is in the morning. But in the meantime, I'm going to do my best not to stick my face over top of there every 10 minutes to see how he's doing. And I'm just going to try and kind of forget about him. He has moving water, he has food, and hopefully he'll recover. Maybe he's just super blocked up somehow. I don't honestly know. I did find some white spongy stuff in the little containers of water twice after I removed him. I checked them for what I was hoping was going to be poo, but it wasn't. But anyway, so this, I'm starting to ramble now. He is one of my favorite fish. I love this little guy, and I really hope he recovers. Here we are the next morning, and just checking on the Blenny. He is still breathing, he's still alive, he's moving around, although he's very pale. So I'm going to leave him in here for another day and night, and tomorrow I'm going to treat him again with Epsom salts and add some Selcon. Okay, here's the Blenny. I have him in Epsom salts mixed with salt water. He's still alive, he's very pale. He has approached the algae that's on that little plug, and This morning was the second morning he was in the Blenny hospital. And when I removed him from there, he had enough energy to actually fight. So here's the Blenny hospital. I just have it open now. And that's the most energetic I've seen him in probably the 4 or 5 days that he's been sick. So this morning was the second morning in the hospital. He was pale, but he was still alive, so I decided to try and treat him once again with Epsom salts, and I put 1 drop of Salcon in that container. It's a pretty small container. And I guess we'll see whether he makes it. If I see him eating, then I will put him back in the tank and hope that whatever it was that was making him ill is gone. If he does pass away, I'm planning to perform a necropsy because I really do want to find out if there was something stuck in his stomach, intestines, gizzard, guilt, like who knows. I have no clue what I'm even looking for, but if he does die, I really do want to find out. And you can see the Blenny is still breathing. He's quite pale, but he was a little more feisty when I tried to get him into the net to put him in this mixture of 1/8 of a teaspoon of Epsom salts plus 2 drops of Salcon mixed into tank water. I use my baster there to swish the water around regularly, and I plan to move him through several of these so that the temperature stays right, and we'll see how he fares today. I'm pretty optimistic because I'm surprised he's still alive. And here's the Blenny later that same day. I put him through 4 treatments in 4 separate containers, and each time I moved him from one to the next, he was a little more feisty when it came to getting into the net. His color has darkened slightly, so I'm going to leave him in here overnight again and see how he does. The very first time I took him out of here, he just basically rolled over into the net, so this is good. So I decided to allow the Blenny back into the tank because he was looking quite good. His color had improved, and so I set up the dish to lower the front edge of it, and now I'm just going to let him swim out on his own when he's ready. And there he goes. So after looking for a few minutes, I found him, and he's under a rock at the side. You can see how he shook his head. That was the behavior that was really concerning me before. And I'm quite surprised to find the next morning that the Blenny is looking pretty darn good. And though he's looking pretty good, I don't think he's out of the woods yet. Here's some footage that shows the odd behavior, and this is after the treatments. I will say that now he looks better than he did before the treatments, and I don't know what that means, but take a look and see what you think. So here we are almost a week later, and the Blenny is looking okay. He perches a lot. He slept in this spot last night, or at least he was there when I went to bed, which was pretty late. When I got up this morning, I didn't see him, And so I'm checking again, and there he is. Maybe he feels safe in that spot. Maybe he just whacked his head really hard somewhere. I have no idea. I'm going to keep an eye on him though. He does eat, he does poo. It's just this weird swimming behavior that I see that had me concerned in the first place. Did taking him out and treating him help? I don't know. My first thought was not to hurt him, and I don't think I did. So I guess we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. I really hope he does survive and get through this, whatever it is. Even if he lives with a weird swimming behavior, that's okay. As long as he doesn't just bury himself in the rocks and die somewhere. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I know this was probably long and rambly, but we get attached to our fish, and I just couldn't give up on him and felt like I had to try and at least do something.